What's going on, you guys? Big75 here, aka Vince Lano. It's time to review another movie. This time we're talking about, what else? Star Wars The Last Jedi. This is the IMAX poster, by the way, if you can't tell. I kind of looked it up pretty fast, but, you know. 8th movie in the Star Wars franchise. I can't believe we're up to 8 now. It's crazy to think about. Every year, of course, I do a review of these Star Wars movies, and now I'm here to do it again, but I'm not alone because I have my good friend, fellow Star Wars fanatic, Rose Deighton.
Hey guys, it's me again. It's been like a year.
It's been a year. It's been a long time. This is actually the first time we've seen each other in a year.
Yeah.
We talk a lot, but we don't see each other enough, which we should change that.
Yeah.
We'll fix that. Obviously, this movie's caused a lot of controversy in the theaters. It's a great movie, I think. The fact that it's causing such controversy is good. Let's just get into it. So, we'll talk about what we liked about the movie, of course. I think we should probably talk about what happens between Luke, Rey, and Kylo Ren, because that's the core of this movie, is that dynamic. And even on the poster, the very first poster, you see the lightsaber sort of splitting between Luke and Kylo. That's kind of, it's very symbolic of their thought process in this movie. Luke is very much about, it's time for the Jedi to end. Kylo is about, it's time for all things to end except for what I want. Two people who think the same way but want different things, and in the middle of it, Rey, who in a way is able to bridge a relationship between Kylo, bridge a relationship with Luke, and is able to salvage or influence the fate of these two characters. Mark Hamill, man, he brings it. I have not seen Mark Hamill do this good of a job in a movie since debatably Kingsman, affirmingly since Return of the Jedi. He really knows his character really well, and there's some great moments in this movie, like, you know, with when he meets Chewbacca for the first time in a long time, when he sees R2 for the first time in a long time. You see the young Luke come back for a gleaming moment, just that excitement, or just that tonation in his voice. Of course, his stance on the Jedi has changed dramatically. He thinks it's time for the Jedi to end because their reign has kind of caused turmoil. He believes that Jedi are abusing the Force. There's a lot of complex things Luke is debating, and he thinks it's time for them to end. He comes on this island to die because of what he's done and what the Jedi have done in the past. He thinks all signs point to this has to end. And Kylo kind of comes from the same stance, except he wants to end the Sith, the Jedi, the Resistance, and he wants to be this position of power and shape the galaxy to his vision. And that is influenced by Snoke, by Luke, by Rey specifically, who sort of encourages him to be his own person as he's having this kind of, both him and Rey are having these identity crises.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see Rey trying to learn about her parents, all about her parents defining her destiny, and she comes to learn that it's not about where she came from, it's who she is in the moment, which is a really cool statement. And for Kylo, that relationship is about, for him, it's about letting go of the past and embracing a side of him that he never saw until Rey came along. And it's a really, really powerful relationship, and their chemistry is so fantastic. The way Rian Johnson shoots the Force Skype scenes, for lack of a better word, is really well done. It's simple. Also, the sound design for this scene is fantastic. I'm totally film nerd geeking out right now. What did you think of all that? Luke, Rey, and Kylo Ren, they're dynamic.
Yeah, kind of going off of Kylo Ren, I definitely don't think he's over his father's death, and I think that creates a really interesting kind of like backstory to going into The Last Jedi, especially you had mentioned with his helmet. Like, I think that's really cool when he like smashes his helmet, kind of separating himself from Darth Vader and kind of trying to figure out who he is individually. And I think Rey's that same way. She definitely like struggles with, like, you know, the Force, or am I going to be this great Jedi, or am I potentially
Can I be that on my own?
Yeah, both Rey, and I really like how Rey and both Kylo encourage each other oppositely as far as like, come join our side of the Force, kind of, because I think that creates a really old Star Wars feel to it, which is really cool.
It does. That's a great point about the mask, him smashing the mask, because that was probably the most obvious sign that Kylo Ren is sort of cementing, like, this, I'm not going to be this Darth Vader wannabe. I don't want to be remembered as that. I want to be remembered as Kylo Ren. And that sort of is the first stepping stone he takes to becoming who he thinks he should be. And even Snoke sort of calling him out, like, you're a child in a mask. Pretty emasculating, I'm sure, for him.
Yeah, I did kind of think he was kind of childish though in the first one. So I really like how they like played on that, because I think he does have a lot of anger issues to work out.
Definitely.
And so I think acknowledging that was a smart choice
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think though, people complain about that, like he's such a whiny little B word, but that's what makes him a great villain.
Yeah.
Great villains aren't one-dimensional. I'm gonna take over the world. They have layers. They have emotions. They have struggles. And debatably, Kylo Ren's a better villain than Darth Vader, because Darth Vader was always like solidly, he was a solid badass, solid bad guy, which was fine. We have that in Star Wars, but now we need a villain who's more vulnerable.
Right. He's almost like Anakin to me pre-Darth Vader.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of that inner turmoil and then whiny
Little
character.
whiny, definitely.
But I don't mind that.
Luke's not perfect. His gut reaction is to kill Kylo, but then he realized like that's not the way. That's not right. It's a very human thing. I think people were expecting him to be this perfect, all-knowing person like Obi-Wan, who wasn't even perfect at the time, although he was a very wise man. Luke Skywalker just took it to a degree where he couldn't take on the burden of being a legend. Mm-hmm. I expected Luke to sort of embrace his legendary status, but just I came in expecting he was going to have a legit reason, like, I'm here because the world is literally better off without me. I didn't expect him to say, I came to this island to die. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel out of character. It felt like, this is what happens when you get old. Sometimes you lose the spark, but like, you regain that spark over time, and something happens where you're able to regain what you once lost. And it's a fantastic moment for Luke Skywalker, I think, and one that will go down in history as one of the greatest moments in Star Wars history, one of the greatest characters in cinema history, not just Star Wars. Okay, let's talk about Leia and Poe. So I loved that Leia was grooming Poe to be the leader of the Resistance. Obviously, coincidence that Leia, Carrie Fisher, unfortunately passed away. She's almost grooming Poe for her. She's grooming Poe for her position. Mm-hmm. She knows she's not going to be around. I thought it was just a great way to help us say goodbye to her. It's like, I'm not going to be here, so you gotta step up. His arc was probably the strongest, especially considering how weak of a character he was in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Or I guess not that he was weak,
much.
he wasn't given much to do. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, what did you think of this arc?
Yeah.
With Leia specifically?
I think Poe is a really distinctive character, and because we got more of definitely like Finn and Rey in The Force Awakens, we really didn't see him much. The dynamic with Leia as far as kind of like the older, this is more like the mentor, like, but in the same sense, I think Poe is like the perfect like rebellion figure, because when you think of rebellions, you think of like characters that don't obey orders, that are like rebellious in nature, and who will do anything to save save the rebellion and save what they believe in.
To light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Yeah, I think Poe serves that purpose, and I think Leia plays it a little safe, and I think Poe's that person who maybe, while Leia does kind of groom him, I also feel like too he like in a weird way like grooms her in a way, gives her advice or gives her like ideas that she wouldn't have come up with. Mm-hmm. So because I think he's pretty creative. I'm
curious what you think about the whole Force space scene.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's a great moment to show, because we've never seen how powerful she is with the Force, and this just shows how truly powerful she is with the Force. Albeit it messes up the gravity continuity, where you have people complaining about the bombs floating down into the Dreadnought, but Leia's floating in space. It was a great moment to see Carrie Fisher's Leia in full power. Like she's not a Jedi. She's never been a Jedi, but we got to see this moment where she uses the Force in a way that's never been done before. She could debatably be the most powerful Force user ever.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have
to go along with that. With Leia, and then just in general with the way that they use the Force, with like Kylo Ren and Rey, we've seen it used in ways we've never seen it used before. And as like someone who's really interested in like what is the Force, who can use the Force,
furthering the lore of that.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and that really piqued my interest, because I was like, wait, what? How is she doing this?
Yeah.
How is she doing this? And I was like, oh no.
Did you like that moment, or did you not like it?
I don't know. I'm on the fence about it, because I've read a lot of like what you said, like other fans are like, oh, this isn't possible. Even with the Force, there's no way that she could like do this. But because we don't really know like the Force and like the limitations of the Force or like what the Force can do, I don't really think it's like
outside content.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly, you made a great point. Like, we don't know the limitations of the Force. We don't know specifically what they can and can't do with it. So I think it's totally valid. I think it's a totally valid moment for Leia. And come on, it's Carrie Fisher's last movie ever. You can't give her this beautiful moment where she's, I mean, in a way, it was really shocking when they almost, I was like, oh my gosh, she's dead?
Yeah.
They couldn't have killed her that soon. And then to see her alive, it was almost like Rian Johnson's telling us, like, you know, Carrie Fisher may be dead, but she will always live forever. Right. It was a beautiful moment. I think it was very well crafted.
Yeah, I was afraid at first. I was like, this isn't how they're gonna kill her. I was
no way.
We just started the movie. Like, that would be awful tribute. But luckily that didn't happen.
Well, that part died in that scene too.
Yeah.
But, you know,
so.
And he was doing some pretty badass stuff. Like, he was doing exactly what he was doing in episode 6, which was cool.
Well, I'll have to get your opinion on this. But like the darkness and the light and kind of the fact that like Luke is struggling with it, but I think even more so like Rey is struggling with kind of like darkness and light. And I think all Jedis do to some extent. I know like Luke did a little bit when he started his training, but then also kind of like Kylo Ren. I mean, you definitely, at least Rey says, she keeps trying to push Kylo Ren, like there's some goodness in you, or I'm gonna turn you. And that really reminded me of like episode 5 and 6.
The pull of light and dark.
Yeah, with different characters trying to like tempt each other to the different sides.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially with Rey. So I don't know. I was gonna get your opinion on that.
I think Luke. I never thought Luke was ever gonna go dark. I think his stance in Return of the Jedi was like them telling us like this guy went through the trials, made it to heaven, figuratively. He's light side for life. And I never really saw it as he was dark. He for a moment saw that the Force was something that was corrupted by the Jedi. I never took that as like he's going dark, or he's flirting with the dark side. And he didn't want anything to do with the Force just because of, they even mention the prequels, like the Jedi Order at the height of their power caused the rise of Darth Sidious and then the creation of Darth Vader. And Rey rebuttals that by like, you know, but Darth Vader was turned by a Jedi, So I never took that as dark side Luke, but I definitely took that as like a fallen Luke.
Okay.
As regards to Rey and Kylo, definitely. And I was so afraid Rey was going to go dark in this movie.
Same.
And she definitely flirted with the dark side, but it was more so for like the cave, like testing Luke. It's kind of like when we're both Christians, so we can relate to this. It's kind of like when you know you're doing something bad, something sinful, but you do it because you want to get something out of it that you think is going to help you, and then it happens and you don't feel satisfied. I think that's what happens in the cave. It's like she thinks that this darkness is going to help her, like tapping into this part of the Force is going to help her find her parents, and it doesn't give her what she wants, and she feels weakened and lonely. It's like that's very similar to like what people feel when they commit sin or when they do something bad. You feel empty. You feel like, you know, what did I do that for?
And that's kind of like Anakin too. Like part of the reason he like turned to the dark side.
Absolutely,
was for Padme.
yeah.
So like saving Padme, like he saw like going to the dark as a like like a means to do that. So I think that too echoes the idea of like sin isn't gonna end up solving what you think it will. So
yeah, and I think I never saw Rey going dark. Even when Kylo's like, no, you'll be the one to turn. It's like, she's not going dark anyway. There was that moment when he's like, Rey, join me. It's like, oh, don't do it. But at the time though, she was convinced that Kylo was the one that turned to the light side. Like they were finishing out the Praetorian Guards, which like
that was very confusing in a good way. I thought I thought Kylo, when he was killing all the, when she and him were killing all the red.
The Praetorian Guards.
Yes, Praetorian Guards, thank you. Anyway, yeah, I totally thought they were gonna like be the ultimate team. Like I just saw that for like 2 seconds and I was like, oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
And then Kylo ruins it.
Kylo ruins it. Even though there's not a lightsaber battle in this, which I'm still not happy about, that was probably the best you know, it makes up for there not being a lightsaber scene because those swords they use technically are kind of lightsabers.
It was really epic.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was a perfect makeup for not having a lightsaber battle, even though there kind of is. We'll get to it. When he kills Snoke, that was him trying to be like, I'm not gonna let you tell me what I am. I'm gonna be what I am. But he's so consumed by darkness that he believes that the dark side is what I need to be fulfilled to be happy, which is tragic, but that's what villains are. They're tragic. So yeah, great point. I like that. The whole opening scene and the beginning of like the First Order versus the Resistance, or the last 400 surviving members of the Resistance, was incredible. It sets up the dynamic between Leia and Poe. The Resistance has 400 people left, and there's like 5 or 6 giant Star Destroyers chasing them, and they're running low on fuel. It was just a great way to keep us on our toes. In the end of the Force Awakens, you think, oh, well, the Resistance or the First Order is going to be the one that's going to be on the run because they lost their whole base. Like, they're still a superpower. Like, they still have power over the galaxy. They could easily call their allies and come and snuff out the Resistance. Admiral Holdo, Laura Dern's character, stepped up. She was fantastic, by the way. I didn't know how that was going to translate. An actress like her, I know she's great, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she came in and she stole some of the scenes. Like, this woman is fantastic. Actually, there was a time when I thought she was gonna go bad when they're Admiral Holdo, we're taking over and doing the mutiny, but then it's like, no, Poe, you're just being an idiot, stop.
Yeah, you definitely see the inner conflict of just the same group of people, like within the rebellion, and I'm sure within like the First Order you kind of see that too. And I think people don't realize sometimes that there are inner struggles that cause both like the First Order and the rebellion from succeeding.
Like, exactly, it's this thing where it's just like I've been through a hell of a lot this year, and what I've come to learn is that a lot of like people's superstitions and pains, it's not real. It's like, it's subconscious. You create this idea that something's wrong or you're doing something wrong, and it's like, it's not real until someone tells you it's real or it's not. Poe's superstitions are just bouncing off the walls, and he's like, Holdo is working for the First Order, or she's pulling a mutiny or whatever, or she's trying to escape, she's a coward. I thought it was a very human thing for Poe to question that, and for Holdo to withhold that information, and then going into the escape pods, and those being blown up. Like, that was a super intense scene, all thanks to Laura Dern's intensely, like, she's freaking panic mode. She's on the cruiser, and she's like, shit, everyone's gonna die.
Right.
And then she does the coolest thing in any Star Wars film I've seen so far. She goes to light speed, and boom, just goes right into the Star Destroyer, killing all the other Star Destroyers behind her, and it's just like silence. It's beautifully edited. Like, you could hear a pin drop in that theater. It was just...
there was gasping.
I was like,
everyone was like, what just happened?
Whoever edited this movie, give yourself a pat on the back and a cookie, because you're fantastic.
What did you think of Yoda coming back as a Force ghost?
Yoda was the best thing in this entire movie.
I agree. I was super excited.
I knew there was going to be some sort of Force ghost scene, whether it was like, I thought it was going to be Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. But for story purposes, I understand why it's just Yoda. And he looks great, he sounds great. It made sense. Like, Luke needed a kick in the butt to be like, no, you're wrong, the Jedi Order shouldn't end. You need to get your head out your butt and realize that it's okay to fail. And Yoda says, I think, the greatest line in this entire movie, Luke, we are what they rise above. And that is the true burden of all masters. The audience gets it. Most importantly, Luke gets it, because it's like, it's not about being this perfect being. A legend is someone who rises up and does the impossible no matter what happens. They got Frank Oz to come back too. It could not have been more perfect.
It was very fitting too that it was Yoda, because obviously it's his master, but then too, I feel like, for me at least, Yoda's like the ultimate master. Like, when you think of Jedi Council and everything, it's like Yoda's in charge, and Yoda's just this like wise figure. I wanted kind of Obi-Wan, and I was like, where's Obi-Wan and where's Anakin? But do you think they'll come back at all ever, or?
Maybe. I mean, they're doing the Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off, which is gonna it has to have Ewan McGregor or there's no point. By far the greatest thing in this entire movie, greater than Yoda's scene, is the final battle between Luke and Kylo Ren and Luke's eventual death. This was the biggest conflict for fans. I remember my brother Victor, we walked in, he's like, I don't want Luke to die at all. And I'd already seen the movie and I'm just like, well, we'll see. I didn't want him to die either. The movie kind of plays with us where you think that because he's a Force ghost, Kylo Ren cut him down at that moment, he just died instantly, became a Force ghost. But then it's like, nope, psych, he's on the island, he's doing the Force projection. He stopped and it's like, okay, he's still alive, he's great, he's on the island, he's alive, fantastic. Then he disappears. Damn it! You killed him
twice a little bit.
You lose him twice. I was angry. That was the main reason I was so angry with the movie, and I almost hated it. Like, why did you do that? And then I thought about it, and then I saw the movie again. I was like, you couldn't have killed him any better. He doesn't get cut down by Kylo Ren or anybody else. He doesn't get blown up by those walkers. He doesn't get killed at all. He makes the choice to sacrifice himself, and I don't think people understand the gravity of what he did. He projected himself across the galaxy. He's on a planet thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away, and he projects himself both physically and non-physically to be in that moment. It's just, you're probably thinking like, what a nerd.
No, it was definitely super
It was
powerful.
just, Kylo Ren even says, and it's a clever way to set up the power of this, like, the effort to project yourself in that moment would kill you. The rebellion is reborn today. The war has just begun, and I will not be the last Jedi. And you see Rey lifting the rocks. It's a beautiful passing of the torch. He ignites the blue, not the green. I'm still disappointed we didn't get the green, but you do see it in the flashbacks, which were really cool. I love that we at least got to see him ignite the green in the flashbacks, but it's his father's lightsaber. It's a Skywalker lightsaber, so it makes most sense that he does have that in that scene. It kind of shows the power Luke has over a simpleton like Kylo Ren. Like, you thought Kylo Ren was powerful, look at Luke freaking Skywalker. It was an incredible moment. It was an incredibly moving way to complete his arc.
The shoulder brush, like that was great. I'm always going back to like the other movies to compare.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in the 4th episode.
Yeah.
And the way that Obi-Wan kind of
definitely.
just sacrificed himself. It was really reminiscent of that, but like you said, it was almost better than that because he didn't get cut down. But it just really reminded me of like, either way, Darth, I'm gonna win. You cut me down now. I'm gonna come back even stronger.
Which is why it makes his arc come full circle, because he, Obi-Wan was technically his father figure he never had. He does exactly what Obi-Wan did in that scene. You see the binary sons too, it totally comes full circle.
Yeah.
He almost looked like how he did in The Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, he looked younger.
His reunion with Carrie Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful moment, very well done. More than Kylo Ren meeting Leia, we needed that. Like, if we didn't have that, it would be a big lost opportunity.
I agree. Too, I read a lot about the dice. Was it the dice?
The dice.
Yeah, it's Han's dice, apparently.
From the Millennium Falcon, yeah.
And I thought that was kind of really nice, like symbolic, gesture between Leia and Luke, and then doesn't he hand it to Kylo Ren or something?
He hands it to Leia, Leia leaves it for Kylo,
okay.
and it disappears. I really appreciate that they even let Luke have a moment with 3PO. Just like a subtle little wink.
Yeah, in R2 too, I loved when they played that original, like, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're
great.
my only hope. Like, I was just like,
Yeah, that's
so
another
many
thing.
chills.
Yeah, probably one of my top 5 best moments in that movie, because you see kind of in like the way he talks, you almost see young Luke come alive for a second, and even when Chewie burst through the door, I don't know what it was, like the way his hair was parted and just the way he was talking was like, this guy looks like he's 10 years younger again, or not 10 years, but 30 years younger again. It was just a great little touch. And it just kind of goes to show that like Mark Hamill has not lost touch of who Luke Skywalker is. Now let's get into the unpleasant, what we didn't like about this movie. And as we said, this is a very divisive Star Wars film, probably the most divisive, and there are some things that don't work. I will start with the most obvious, Finn and Rose. And I'm sort of reluctant to talk about Rose in such a bad light because Rose here. So
It's okay.
Rest assured, this Rose is a fantastic person.
Oh, well, thank you.
Rose in this movie is also a fantastic person, just didn't have a great arc, I think. And it really, this whole thing with Canto Bight and Finn just really messed his arc up. Rightly so, I imagined that Finn was going to continue with his struggle against like fighting for the resistance and escaping the First Order. He kind of is afraid of confronting the First Order again. He doesn't want to go back. The only reason we went back in The Force Awakens was to get Rey. But all of a sudden he turns on a dime like, oh yeah, the hyperdrive. I'll help you guys. Sure, totally. You were just in the middle of leaving. Why do you care? I think he would have needed a little bit of convincing to be like, you know, help us out on this last one. I wanted to have this ongoing struggle with Finn, like, not wanting to be part of the fight, wanting to escape. And you know, DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, kind of enforces that, where he's like, you know, live free, don't join. Like, I wanted him to fear, like really dread going back into that Star Destroyer. Once he goes in, it's him confronting his fears and facing his past, really solidifying himself as a resistance hero. That's where Rose comes in, and it's cool that she sees him as this big hero, and that encourages him to be the hero that she sees him as, where he almost sacrifices himself, and instead of running away from the fight, charges straight towards the fight. It wasn't built up enough. I wanted there to be a real struggle for Finn. It was bogged down by comedy and these silly moments in Canto Bight that felt reminiscent of what you said, the prequels.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think his motivations were clear throughout. Kind of going off what you said, not only with like his fear or like his stance on the resistance and how he feels about helping them, but like also with like Rose and Rey. I was very confused about that whole like dynamic.
You mean like the romance?
Yeah, yeah, because I don't know if you agree with that, if there was like a clear cut like Rose and Finn and Rey is just kind of like a friend, but then obviously in The Force Awakens, Rey and, you know, Finn kind of seemed to have a thing. So that confused me. Finn just, in general, I felt like his character, like I was like, okay, what's happening with Finn?
They sort of pushed him by the wayside, which is a shame because he's my favorite character in The Force Awakens. I was just like, that's it? I will say that as much as I wanted to see Rey and Finn hook up, after seeing this movie, I think the kiss on the cheek, on the forehead, thank you, my friend, was we're friends.
Okay.
And Rose, you know, I like the romance between him and Rose. Romance has been missing in Star Wars. I wanted them to bring it back. And also, there's a nice moment at the end when Rey and Poe give each other the look.
Yeah, I was like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, because Christian Harloff, he's one of the guys on Cloud Jedi Council. He's been calling it for months.
Oh,
that
really?
Rey and Poe were gonna hook up, and I don't know how he saw it, but it's teased, and I hope they follow through with it because I think that'd be a fantastic thing for Rey and Poe, like naturally born leaders in a way. I think Finn and Rey's friendship will be more fleshed out. Now that we've seen them apart, I want to see the four of them or the three of them together again, going on a mission, and just, you know, like in Return of the Jedi, where it was Han, Luke, and Leia, and Chewie, and R2 and 3PO. They were all going on an adventure together until Luke decides, peace out, guys, I'm gonna go fight my father.
Yeah, the whole gang's together.
Yeah, it was great. Canto Bight's just.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like it in a sense. It was just way too overplayed and too silly. When they find the red lapel.
Yes.
For some reason that scene was ultra goofy, super romanticized music, and the actor just got the twirly mustache and like, it's like, what is this? It was the first time I thought like, this isn't Star Wars.
Yeah, it seemed very prequel-esque, and then also too, I thought they set that up for nothing almost, because this whole time it's like, we need to go to like the master code breaker, and then they don't ever do that. Like why would you create a character with like a red lapel without even talking to him, you know?
In defense of that though, it shows that not every plan goes right. I think that's something missing in a lot of movies. It's like, oh yeah, the plan always goes well. It's like, it kind of shows the ignorance of Poe and his arc to realize maybe I was wrong. Because then DJ has more thematic purpose for Finn, because he sells him out at the end, and he's like, you know, you're wrong about the resistance, you're wrong about everything, and he's like, maybe. I don't think he was underused. I think just because Benicio del Toro is a stereotypical villain, sinister villain actor, doesn't mean he has to be cast in such a role. It was kind of refreshing to see him in a more off the beat role.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of his films before, but he just plays these very sinister roles. That's what he's known for. And this, he was just kind of, he was fun. He looked like he was having fun with the role, and I I enjoyed it. Canto Bite just,
Agreed.
We got a great scene with R2-D2. I didn't like how little of him was in this movie because he's R2-D2. I know BB-8's great and cute and funny and all. It's R2-D2. Come on, put him in the movie. Give him, like, 3PO had more to say than R2-D2.
R2's a better character.
R2's a better character. I just missed him. I wanted him to do more. I wanted him to be on the planet with Luke, and although, you know, stairs is a problem.
Yeah.
Damn stairs. But
lots of stairs.
my guilty pleasure moment would be, like, Luke getting his old X-Wing and flying in with R2 and, you know, taking out some of the TIE fighters. That would have been so cool, but, you know, you can't win them all. I hope they continue to bring more of his character into episode 9.
One question I had, I don't know if it was so much as like a critique or just like missed opportunity, when no one came like with the resistance, when like Leia called people or like set that call out at the end and then no one showed up. I don't know if that was just to show that like they're like destroyed or outnumbered.
I think it was just like there's like 5 people left of the resistance. They're gonna die.
Yeah.
So people were like, there's no point. Then Luke, the new hope, comes in and it's like, hold up guys, hold up. The war ain't over.
Which makes me question though, in the next, do you think they're gonna have to like recruit people for that?
Oh, I think the resistance is gonna be like first order level army.
Okay.
Because I think there's gonna be a time jump to compensate for Leia and show that she died between, you know, a year ago or whatever, or however long it'll be. They could easily set this film up as the final Star Wars saga chapter. I still think they're going to do episode 10, 11, 12, 5 to 10 years after episode 9. At least one more trilogy.
Especially if they're making money.
Exactly. Snoke and Phasma. For years we've been building up this hype and guessing and theories of who Snoke is. It's not misplaced. He is properly teased as an important character, a mysterious character that needs to be addressed, and he's dead. He dies and we don't get an explanation. And I think it's the worst part of this movie. I think this is one of the moments that fans have a right to complain about, because JJ properly teased him. It was a setup and it needs a payoff. You don't need Snoke to be like, I'm from Dagobah and I've been around since blah blah blah, I've seen blah blah blah. You could have easily, when Luke's explaining like, I took a dozen students, you could have easily inserted a line where it's like, then Snoke came and talk about how he got close enough to the Skywalkers to seduce Ben. I completely disagree with Rian Johnson that Snoke does not need to be explained. It's not something where it's like it's pretty clear what the Emperor wants. Total control, total power. If Snoke wants those same things, fine, but there has to be something more to him. You have an explanation for Palpatine and why he rose to power. If we had gotten that backstory, I would have been more okay with him dying.
It didn't seem much of, like you said, like a payoff for it, and he seemed very like underdeveloped, and it just made me like ask, why him? Like, why is he evil? Why does he want to like seduce Kylo Ren to the dark side? We don't know anything about it. Also, how did he get in power? Because like Kylo and everyone listens to him. It's not like it's a duel for power. He is in power.
That's the biggest flaw of this whole sequel trilogy, is that they haven't properly told us what happened between episode 6 and episode 7. What happened to cause the rise of the First Order? What happened to bring the galaxy in chaos? Episode 6 was the end. The war's over, we won.
Right.
What happened to cause the war again? The best thing we got was Luke explain what happened to the Academy. Come on, you needed to explain Snoke, and it was just a completely missed opportunity. And then Phasma. What a waste. I don't know what they were doing, if they were taking crazy pills, they forgot what they shot, but they built Phasma up to be like, she's gonna have a presence in this film. She's gonna be a major role. She's gonna have a bigger role. She has one scene. She shoots the blast that she never shot in The Force Awakens. She has a fight scene with Finn that lasts maybe 30 seconds. And that should have been an emotionally charged fight, and it wasn't. It was just wasted. Completely wasted character.
Yeah, that whole scene with Finn and Phasma, neither of them felt like upset enough to me with each other. And even before that, like when Finn came back, like it just...
Phasma, like, saw something in Finn, like she wanted to train him to be the best he could be, and he abandoned all that. She felt betrayed by him, and you don't feel that. Finn should be like fighting for his life to kill Phasma, and it's so easy. Gwendolyn Christie, the actress who plays Phasma, has done a great job with it, and she's probably the biggest cheerleader for this trilogy than anybody, and she's absolutely wasted.
We kind of talked about was like Rey's parents reveal. That was my
Let's
biggest,
talk about that.
Yeah.
That was... I get why it happens because it fits in with the story and the theme of the movie, like anyone can be a hero, but you built it up way too much. Whether you meant to or not, J.J. Abrams did a great thing where he set up great things to come. And Rian Johnson, to a certain degree, has a responsibility to pay off those things. As a director of Star Wars, you do have a certain right to honor the fans and honor your own vision. J.J. Abrams kind of nipped us in the butt when he took away the possibility of seeing Han, Luke, and Leia on screen. Like these are things that we've been waiting 30 years for.
Right.
And not giving that to us is a bit of a jip and a ripoff. If you ask 95% of the fans, like, do you want to see Luke, Han, and Leia together on screen? They would answer yes.
Yeah, not only that, but 3PO and R2.
Exactly.
The whole, and Chewbacca. The whole gang.
Rian Johnson, and to a certain degree, fails to understand the honoring of what fans do expect. I do agree that you don't need to give Luke a green light, so you don't need to have him pull a Star Destroyer down from the sky. You don't need to have him be this beacon of hope like he's always been. Like, there are certain things that I think are just unrealistic for fans to expect. It was disappointing.
Yeah, after 2 years of, like, you know, Obi-Wan's child, Luke's child,
yeah.
like, whose child? Or like Han or Leia's child,
yeah, and
then...
I was telling Rose off camera that I think it's still a mystery. I don't think Kylo was telling her the truth. He could easily have been telling her the truth. I don't know, but I think there's more to it. I think the mystery is not fully resolved. And, you know, J.J. Abrams could easily undo what Rian Johnson has done with this movie. You could easily say that her parents were actually so-and-so, and they did have some significance. Even if they're, like, nobody we know, having them be somebody significant, though, would at least explain, like, why it's so important for her.
Yeah, the porg.
So I want a porg pet. I want an authentic porg pet. They're so cute.
They're super cute. With Chewie, the scene with Chewie.
Yeah, the scene where he's about to eat one. The only moments he really gets in the film is when he bursts through the door and he reunites with Luke, and he's talking, he and Rey are trying to convince him to come back, and Luke's like, you don't need Luke Skywalker, or go away. And he just kind of hangs out in the Falcon for the rest of the movie and helps Rey. You don't even see him fire his blaster once.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen him do a lot more in this movie. Chewie is the one who's flying the Falcon, so...
Yeah, that's true.
He does have some pretty great moments flying the Falcon. I'll give him that. I told myself, the one thing I need to have in this movie is for Luke Skywalker to ignite the green, meaning get his green lightsaber out. Because that's one thing we've been waiting 30 years for too, is like Luke has to have that green lightsaber. And they kind of do it. You see in the flashbacks where he's about to kill Ben Solo and he makes the judgment not to. It's like, you actually get a moment, almost like what sometimes I like to call, you almost get like a porno shot of the lightsaber. You're just like admiring, like, oh my gosh, it's the lightsaber. That's really cool. I mean it in the most respectful way possible, of course. Porn is bad, don't look at it. It was really satisfying for me, but then, you know, we don't ever get to see it again. We don't really get to see what happened to it. It's a little disappointing, but I don't know if that was something you were expecting or not.
I mean, yeah, that was probably less of my concern other than other things.
Yeah.
But
the last thing is, I didn't want Luke to die. And this is something I've been fighting the urge to be like Rian Johnson, totally screwed up. It's hard because you have the opportunity for Luke to be a part of the next chapter and actually fight. I mean, you could have easily done that ending at the end of the movie like Mark Hamill suggested, but at the same time, like I said before, you couldn't have done his death any better.
Right.
It was a very beautiful, very well put together death. And initially I was like, this is trash. This is a terrible way to go out for Luke Skywalker. I'd buy that Luke Skywalker action figure of his. If they're a good character, and that means that I'll buy their action figures. So, as seen with Kylo and with Rey. So yeah. No shame. Given that you only seen this once, how did you feel?
Yeah.
How did you initially react to Luke's death, and how has your opinion changed, if at all?
I think, kind of like I mentioned, he kind of died twice. Like, you think he's gone, and then you realize he's not gone. And I think my initial reaction was like, no. Like, no, you can't kill Luke. Like, Luke is like my favorite from the original. Even I love Leia, but Luke is my favorite character. So that was kind of like a bittersweet, like, what, like, this isn't happening. And I also did think, because Carrie Fisher passed away, I had assumed that Leia was going to be the character, if any, that dies. So that was a little bit of a shock for me.
It's nice because they keep her role intact to specifically honor Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, but once I think I got over that, like you said, the way he dies is so heroic that I think I'm like able to accept that, and just like I said, kind of the Obi-Wan-esque, like finally the kind of fulfiller of like a leader, or what he's supposed to be.
Fulfilling his destiny.
Yeah, all that, after all his like inner turmoil. I just thought that was fitting,
Definitely.
even though it was very disturbing
definitely disturbing.
Lover of Luke.
I mean, I think that's what everyone's reaction was. Like, Luke Skywalker is, to me, the greatest movie hero of all time. He kind of set the bar for what a hero should be in a movie. And to see that character have a noble death was very hard to accept. But I think because Carrie Fisher is dead, he will be back as a Force Ghost very prominently. I have no doubt that he's going to be a big part of Episode 9. The great thing about Yoda's scene was that it confirmed that Force Ghosts can affect the physical world, because he hit Luke with his cane.
Yeah.
So I think that means he can come back and still do some damage, I think. Whether he actually does some action scenes or not, I'm not sure, but I think he'll still be able to, he'll be back prominently, I believe.
And Kylo and everyone, I'm assuming they don't think he's dead.
Exactly, yeah.
So...
I mean, like, strike me down, I will be with you always, just like your father. He literally meant that, like, he's gonna be around to, in a way, haunt Kylo and mentor Rey. So I think that was your confirmation right there, that he's gonna be around. Final thoughts. Do you want to go first?
Sure, okay. From only seeing it once, I think it's a film you definitely need to watch multiple times to fully grasp. I think even just you seeing it one more time than me, I feel like you have a better handle on everything. So I would suggest, watching it multiple times. Yeah, I definitely loved it. Like, I know I texted you, I was like, it's awesome! And I think that's my response to, like, any Star Wars. I'm just like, anytime I get a new Star Wars film, it's amazing. And I think this one in particular, like you said, one of the largest things that it did was bulk my expectations. Like, I did not expect a lot of what we saw. While we may contest some of that, at the end of the day, I'm really thankful to have that chance to experience Star Wars in, like, a new light, but also so, like, reminiscent of, like, the old films. So I guess that's my that's my 2 cents.
Very nice. We live in a world where there exists an Episode 7 and an Episode 8 and soon an Episode 9. We never thought these movies would actually come to fruition. For better or for worse, they're here, and I think they're fantastic, especially this movie. I firmly believe that it is better than The Force Awakens. It delivers on everything we wanted from that movie in terms of the depth and the furthering of the Jedi and the Force, and the furthering of these characters and their relationships. And, you know, it's a family saga, and it continues that promise of being a family saga. Yes, it didn't deliver on what we wanted. It was unexpected. And that's what movies should do. They shouldn't be what you think they should be. They should play with your expectations. And you should be surprised. You shouldn't be mad that because you didn't get what you want, it's a bad movie, therefore. These characters are as legendary as film itself. And the fact that they're back to continue their stories is incredible. And specifically to see Luke Skywalker, as I said, the greatest movie hero of all time, to see him back in this role and really owning the character and giving him a proper send-off and giving him a new mindset that we never thought we'd see in a character like Luke Skywalker, and to see him turn back to what he used to be before his demise, or not demise, poetic end, let's put it that way, was really moving. Despite what you want to say about it being Rey's the main character and Finn and Poe, this movie is about Luke Skywalker, through and through. And it's the best Luke we've gotten on screen, I think. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, all the actors do a great job at delivering on their roles, but Mark Hamill specifically, give him an Oscar. I'm gonna say it, I don't care, give him an Oscar. I'm serious, I'm dead serious. Easily one of the best Star Wars films ever made. It's gonna go down in history as one of the most progressive for the genre and the franchise. We could assume what was gonna happen in this movie after Episode 7. I have no idea what's going to happen in episode 9. And that's kind of an exciting feeling. And that kind of allows us to remove any expectations. We can't assume anything.
Right.
I still am going to assume that Luke is going to come back as a Force Ghost and he's going to be featured heavily.
Hopefully.
If not heavily, he'll at least be in there for a couple of scenes. Great movie, better than Rogue One. Bring on episode 9, because we're ready for you. First Han Solo. Please God, let it be good. First trailer has to make us think it's Han Solo.
Right,
If it doesn't,
right.
then we got a problem.
I like the idea. I just hope they can do it well.
Yeah. We'll see.
Agreed.
That's our review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. What did you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. Let's be civil with each other. Let's be nice. I want to thank my special guest,
Oh,
Rose.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can't do these reviews without you now. We're 2 for 2. And for those of you, I know I build it up a lot and you guys don't care, but I do. Rose is going to be on the podcast very, very, very soon. We've been talking about it for years and she's finally going to be on the podcast. It's going to happen. It's going to be fantastic. Where can the people find you on social media?
Instagram. I have an Instagram if you search my name, or it's like, I think it's like Rose. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know
like
the Rose.
Rose knows.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. Yeah, and then
Because she knows.
yeah, I'm out there.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, but you can follow my social media stuff in the link below. Give this video a like on one of these corners. I don't remember which one it is, but you know where to like the video, you know where to comment, you know where to subscribe. Also, I want to make a shout out to people who've watched my Avengers Infinity War trailer reaction. It's currently my highest viewed video on YouTube ever. So far it's gotten 4,700 views. I never expected that to happen, and it keeps growing every week. I just want to thank you guys for the likes and for the comments, for sharing it. It was #1 in Brazil for a time.
Wow.
I do that for you guys, so I appreciate you guys sharing it, liking it. Look out for the next one, whatever it is. Maybe it's going to be Han Solo, maybe it'll be something obscure. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. I'm sorry I didn't wear a Santa hat. I'll wear it next time. God bless and peace out. It's just after a long period of time it shuts off. I thought she was going to live and sort of take on Leia's role as like a co-leader of the First Order. The First Order. Gosh, the Resistance. Yeah, she turns bad.